Zoom recording.
There we go.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Cannabis Public School. Yay, we made it. Let's see. About Cannabis Public School, our mission is to ensure that everyone across America has accurate information about the holistic benefits of and potential risks of cannabis, right? Because as it's the population paradox, as more people use cannabis, we're understanding the real risks, and we need to talk about that. We are dedicated to creating a culture of continuous learning and advocacy, empowering the public to lead the way in transforming healthcare. Our goal is to make well-researched non-pharmacological treatments easily accessible to healthcare consumers, promote healthcare autonomy, and create lifestyle changes that enhance the body's innate ability to heal itself. Your body will do the work. Sometimes it needs tools, but for the most part, your body will do the work. And our dad joke, okay, it is, what is it? What kind of car does a sheep drive?
Lamborghini.
Yes, you absolutely know what kind of a Lamborghini, of course. And
I never heard that one.
That was so good, Mo.
Oh, you like that one? Thank you, honey. I appreciate you. Okay, the therapeutic of a topical application of CBDA for the treatment of restless leg syndrome. Where are my notes? Oh, okay, hold on. This week at Cannabis Public School, restless leg syndrome involves complex mechanisms from the brain to the peripheral musculoskeletal dysfunctions. Current treatments focus on the central nervous system. Our research explores a new approach targeting peripheral mechanosensitive channels with a CBDA topical cream. Let's see, come to this class to gain insight on CBDA mechanism and clinical trial results. Spoiler alert, it works. For those who know someone with restless leg syndrome and don't like taking gabapentin or anti-seizure meds or opiates or benzos or hypnotics, come to this class. Or go to the website too, PlantStruck, www.plantstruck.com, where participants can sign up for Dr. Kimless's newsletter, get discount codes for Kylo Relief Cream, and other health promoting goodies. Dr. Kimless's book sounds amazing. We already have one guest who went to the website and got the book. I have 5 people in the waiting room. Okay, hold on, guys. Now, this shows me how much I need.
I'm getting, just let me in and then I can host.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You're the last person I admitted, though. That wasn't okay. All right. Dr. Kimless graduated magna cum laude from Muhlenberg College with a double major in natural science and biology. She earned her medical degree from Rutgers and completed her residency at Temple University. A board-certified anesthesiologist with a subspecialty certification in pain medicine, Dr. Kimless has been deeply involved in medical cannabis since 2013. She develops innovative cannabinoid-based formulations, for advancing patient care. Dr. Kimless integrates natural products, medicinal herbs, and plant-based nutrition into her approach, helping patients achieve their health goals. An internationally recognized lecturer. I've heard you, Dr. Kimless. One of the ACNA conferences I went to, or one of the medical, you're an amazing speaker. We're very lucky to have you. Thank you so much. And an expert in cannabis medicine. She's dedicated to advancing knowledge and destigmatized plant-based therapies and other therapies. Dr. Kimless is the author of PlantStruck, Harnessing Nature's Healing Power for a Healthier You, and a founder of plantstruck.com, an online community resource for health and wellness. Dr. Kimless, it is time for you to take us down this rabbit hole. And as you can see, we're all very excited. So I will stop my share so you can start your share.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the kind words.
You're welcome.
All right, can everybody see that?
Yep, just have to make it bigger, I think.
Oh, God bless. I'm lucky I'm breathing and doing this.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so I made you bigger. No, that's not what I wanted. Any techno nerds out there can help?
Go
help
down
us out?
Slideshow.
icon in the far right of the screen. Yeah, that one.
All right, but I need to get back to,
You can go to your toolbar and slideshow, I believe.
all right.
Almost there.
That won't make it big though.
Under view, maybe?
Presenter view.
No,
Is that,
the other one, the one below presenter view. You can use, okay, so yep, slideshow.
slideshow, won't that automatically go or no?
Looks
Okay.
I
good.
think you should have the power to move it.
I have the power? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So, hi everyone. Thank you so much. For those of you on the West Coast or other time zone, I'm on the East Coast, who got up early to listen to me. God bless. I appreciate you, and I have nothing to disclose. I'm a terrible businesswoman, so I give all my stuff away, free of charge that I can. So I don't charge, I don't do anything, and here I am. This is weird. I don't know why I have a blank slide here. So we're going to go into something called restless leg syndrome. It affects a bunch of people. I got to get rid of this. How do I get rid of? There you are. Sorry. And in fact, the genesis of all of this is because I have restless leg. So this is why I decided we needed to figure out a way to do it. So restless leg is also known as Willis-Ekborn disease. It's a neurologic disorder characterized by this irresistible urge to move your legs, often accompanied by like these uncomfortable sensations. Any of the listeners here who have it, I think they can agree with me that it is just this annoying, it's not painful, it's just this annoying urge to just get up and stretch. These symptoms, for whatever reason, torture us at night and can absolutely interfere with sleep and ultimately quality of life because you're cranky, because you're not, sleeping. And now I don't see, here it is. Okay. Okay, so fun fact, these guys, Willis and Ekborn, Willis was a physician highly acclaimed in the field of neurology, and he practiced in the mid-1600s, who described this symptom. And Elbom was a Swedish neurologist who actually studied this in the 1940s. And yet here we are still talking about it. Now, do you see just a blank slide? Okay, so RLS affects about 5 to 10% of adults in the US, with a higher prevalence as we get older. And interestingly enough, this prevalence is mimicked in countries all over the world. So this is not unique just to the US. Women, for whatever reason, are twice as likely as men to be affected. And then you have primary or secondary. Primary means idiopathic, which is doctors speak for, we have absolutely no idea what the heck's going on. May have a genetic predisposition, but they're really not sure. It often starts before the age of 40, and then there's a slow, insidious, gradually progressive effect of this. There's secondary effects due to underlying conditions or factors. Interestingly, iron deficiency anemia, especially in our pregnant population where iron deficiency is quite prevalent. Obstetricians have told me, though, that even when they replace iron and and fix that problem, women who are still pregnant still can describe the RLS symptoms and actually have been using this cream and have done well with it, which is fabulous. Because in life, nobody likes to touch a pregnant woman. Chronic kidney disease can cause it. People who already have peripheral neuropathy can suffer with RLS. Certain medications, which is interesting because these are the same groups of medications that are used to treat RLS. So go figure. And peripheral and central nervous system factors, dysfunction in sensory and motor pathways can exacerbate symptoms. You also see it in people with like Parkinson's, ALS, MS, those types of central neurologic issues. So the clinical diagnosis is primarily based on a patient history. There's no like blood test or specific measurement. And also symptom description. There's something called the International Restless Leg Syndrome Study Group, where they have a criteria that they built out, and that's often used by doctors to say yay or nay whether or not you have this. You want to, of course, exclude secondary causes. So you use lab tests to look at iron deficiency or renal problems or pregnancy related, issues. Sleep studies may or may not, participate. I mean, people usually can say, look, we've got issues. I don't sleep. I'm bugging my partner. They're the ones that usually complain the most about this. If you're sleeping with somebody. And like truly sleeping with somebody, not sleeping with somebody. And rarely you can discern the difference between that versus a periodic limb movement during sleep, but usually that is not consistent and not really defined as restless leg. So the primary symptoms for those of you who are lucky enough not to deal with this is you have this incredible urge to move your legs. And by the way, I use legs because it's restless leg syndrome, but upper arms as well can also have this affliction. So it's an incredible urge to move the limbs, often accompanied by uncomfortable sensations like crawling or tingling. Some people experience itching, some people experience pressure phenomena. Symptoms are worse during periods of rest or inactivity. Symptoms improve with movement, so walking and stretching, which is good and bad. Good because that's an easy thing to do. Bad if it's in the middle of the night and you're trying to sleep. And so symptoms are often worse in the evening at night, leading to sleep issues. So what's commensurate with this? Insomnia, fragmented sleeping, extreme daytime fatigue or sleepiness, mood disturbances, and rightly so because of chronic sleep deprivation. So the treatments for this typically, so non-pharmacologic in the traditional sphere, are lifestyle modifications. So they say, maintain regular sleep schedules, good sleep hygiene, avoid caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol, which can exacerbate symptoms. Most people who try this will share that maybe it improves a little bit, but not great. Engage in moderate exercise. Believe it or not, excessive exercise actually can make it worse, because I used to spend hours trying to beat up my legs before I went to bed, and the nights that I would do that would make it much, much worse. Massage can help. Stretching, yoga may alleviate symptoms. Warm baths or heating pads for symptomatic relief. And many people feel actually warm baths don't do a darn thing, and cold is helpful. And I'm actually one of those cold people. Of course, the drug company jumps into the arena, and pharma is really big on messing with neurochemicals in our brains. So the dopaminergic things like Mirapex or ropinirole or Requip are first-line treatments, and they target dopamine pathways. And some report some efficacy, but generally it's short-lived. And the challenge with it is always, with a pharmaceutical, you always have a degree of adverse effects. Some people describe worsening of their symptoms, especially earlier in the day, and also exacerbating other body parts that were not actually affected prior to starting these drugs. Nausea, dizziness, and then excessive sleepiness that affect daytime productivity, and then impulse control issues. So gambling, shopping, eating, sex. So that could be bad. Alpha-2 delta ligand, so gabapentin and the pregabalin, are effective in patients, especially if they struggle with restless leg that's commensurate with pain. But again, sedation, dizziness, weight gain are all adverse effects. Mood changes, especially people with a history of depression. And now, we see addiction that comes with it, or some abuses with it. Again, iron supplements for people who have iron deficiency issues. Oral or IV iron supplementations recommended. Interesting fun fact, I have a friend with pancreatic cancer, underwent a Whipple. He had iron deficiency. They gave him iron supplementation, and his iron levels weren't getting, improved, and he was struggling with restless leg. I'm like, of course, iron replenishment is not going to work. You're missing the area of your body that absorbs iron. So either take it intravenous or whatever, but he ends up using the topical with huge success. So benzodiazepines, meds like clonopine or even Valium can improve sleep, but of course, typically reserved for short-term use. So this is not a long-term solution. Again, you've got issues with benzos like dependency with long-term use, amnesia and blackouts, respiratory depression, especially if you combine it with other things like alcohol or opiates. Then, believe it or not, this is one of the indications for chronic opiate use, low-dose opioids in severe refractory cases. But again, overdose, constipation, respiratory depression, we all know the issue. So the universal solution, not really solution, for RLS is the urge to move. So I started thinking about this, and I hope you guys are into nerdiness and science because here it comes. So I don't have a lot of friends, so I have a lot of time to think. And so I'm thinking, what is it about getting up and moving and stretching is helping these symptoms? And I started thinking about like, wait a minute, we've got stretch receptors in our bodies, and we all
Oh, you froze for a minute.
receptors. We've got a whole bunch of receptors. And so I started ruminating about these stretch receptors and thinking about how they're involved in detecting changes in muscle length and tension. Because when you stretch, you're activating these receptors and you're playing with the muscle length and actually muscle tension. So hyperactivity or abnormal signaling from these receptors can contribute to the problem that's leading to RLS. And so I started thinking about, well, maybe if we can peripherally interfere with that signaling, then maybe we can come up with a solution. And so fortunately, the maker of the topical that I'm describing that we ran the clinical trial on is as much a nerd as I am. And I reached out to him and I'm like, hey, let's think about this. What do you think about these mechanisms of action? What do you think about this potential target? And then let's run a clinical trial. And go figure, he humored me and said, okay. So when you think about peripheral stretch receptors that could be involved in restless leg, you've got these muscle spindles. So at the ends of muscles and skeletal muscles, you've got these sensory receptors that allow you to determine where you are. It's called proprioception, where you are in the world. So if you close your eyes, you don't fall on your nose. If you close your eyes, you're able to say, oh, I know that I'm still vertical and I know that I'm here. Also, if I, hit your knee and your leg jumps up, those are reflexes. These are all controlled by these muscle spindle receptors. Well, hyperactivity or dysregulation of these receptors could lead to abnormal signaling in the central nervous system, which can contribute to this uncomfortable sensation experience and this urge to move and stretch that's pathognomonic of restless leg. So then I started thinking, okay, what other receptors are there? There's something called Golgi tendon organs. Well, those are also located in the junctions of muscles and tendons, and they monitor and respond to changes in, again, muscle tension to prevent overcontraction or strain. It's how when we walk, we don't injure ourselves every time we move. Well, dysregulated signaling from these receptors create a sensation of muscle tightness and discomfort, which could trigger the need to move and alleviate tension. And then you've got these superficial, also known as cutaneous mechanoreceptors. These are in our skin, the different layers in our skin, so not the muscle, but in the skin layers, known as Ruffini endings, Pacinian corpuscles, and Merkel cells. And all of these play an important role in detecting pressure and stretch and vibration. So enhanced or abnormal input from these receptors could amplify this sensory discomfort that we experience in a leg, especially during periods of rest. And then there's also peripheral nociceptors or pain receptors. And these receptors, what's that?
Oh, no, you're okay.
Okay, these receptors respond to harmful stimuli. So if you touch a hot stove or if you prick your finger and they make you move quickly, or like intense pressure, it allows you to register that as discomfort or pain. And again, biologic survival mode to move away from that. So there are many different mechanisms, but I thought, well, let's dig it a little deeper. What triggers, is there something universal that triggers all of these different mechanoreceptors? And it ends up there is. And it's called a piezo 2 receptor. And so it's really an ion channel. And it's considered like the prime or the number one mechanotransducer. Sort of, this is the receptor that is common in all of these other receptors that I just talked about. And it's the main ion channel for which mechanoreceptors of all types, the touch and the pressure, the proprioception, the vibration, all of them are governed by this. So I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be interesting if we maybe can affect the piezo 2s? So let's talk real quick in a nerdy fashion about what proprioception dysregulation does and how piezo 2s may involve or the abnormal, transduction or movement. So piezo 2s are central feedback loop. And we've known about feedback loops through the cannabis industry, right? Because our cannabis receptors are feedback loops, right? So are piezo 2s. And it's essential for like body position and limb movement. Because if there's too much one way, as we know through the cannabinoid receptors, you need a brake on it. Otherwise, you fall and you end up on your nose. So a dysregulated piezo 2 can cause these abnormal sensations and this urge to move without a stopgap. Abnormal transduction can contribute to this hyperactivity of the stretch and pressure, because anyone with this issue will tell you, once you start stretching, you can't stop. Like it's insane. And then the link to movement relief. So movement alleviates these symptoms. Piezo 2's detection in this mechanical change during this movement suggested maybe by modulating piezo 2, we can modulate these sensations and normalize that sensory input. Additionally, I think we all have known about the TRPA receptors, the TRPV1 receptors. There's also the part of the TRP family. There's something called the TRPA, and the A stands for anchorin, and it actually kind of anchors. So what I found interesting is that TRPA1 is influenced a lot by cannabinoids, especially topically. And the A stands for anchorin, which means it anchors things, and it responds to chemicals and physical stimuli, including oxidative stress, inflammation, pain, and changes in mechanical forces. These are all the kinds of things that we're used to hearing cannabinoids influencing. So in its potential role in RLS, this AAA receptor is associated with, enhanced sensitivity to mechanical and thermal stimuli. Overactivity of this could trigger this TRPA and change its effect on a membrane, and I'll go into that in a sec. Oxidative stress and inflammation. TRPA1 is activated by these things and can amplify sensory inputs, would allow us to feel these discomforts more uniquely. And then crosstalk between peripheral and then central connection. So a dysregulated TRPA1 from the periphery, can send signals to the brain and have our brain go, oh my God, bad things are happening to us, when they really aren't. So TRPA1 is an inherent mechanosensitive channel, like a piezo channel. And gated force from lipids, remember, cannabinoids are lipid molecules, they're fat. So like, you'll see in a sec what this means and how important that is. And then TRPA1 is involved in this the mechanism of action of RLS through again, oxidative stress and inflammation that could lead to all of these challenges. So this formulation of cream, this CBDA cream, is metal coordinated. And the reason why that matters is that it's not just CBD extracted from the plant, dumped into some cream, moved around, and then here we've got a topical. This thing was formulated with intention so that it would be something that would be both water penetrable and fat penetrable. So we know that this amphiphilicity, that's what it means, can penetrate water and then lipid or fat, is hugely important because our skin is a barrier, right? It's made to be impenetrable. And so you need something to be able to do it. And so this metal coordinated formulation has been proven out in the pharmaceutical world to penetrate both water and lipid. We then applied it to the cannabinoid topical cream to see if it would work. And it does for other things. So to get away from the science and give you a break, here's a visual of our different layers of skin. So you've got the epidermis, and it shows Meissner corpuscles. This is a stretch receptor that allows us to appreciate light touch. You go down deeper into the dermis. You've got these Ruffini endings. This allows us to sense pressure. And then you go into the subcutaneous layer, and it allows you to, the Pacinian corpuscles.
Oh, little frozen.
Time. All these are non-Newtonian fluid-like, sort of like Stretch Armstrong, where you could stretch this dial forever and ever, but if you hit it, it's really hard. The same thing with these receptors. They just don't act like an all or nothing switch. If you activate these things gently, they respond differently. If you activate these things hard, in a hard way, they respond differently. Food for brain thought later. So we hypothesized that an effective therapeutic agent to treat this in the periphery would have to have this amphiphilic thing. It's got to be able to penetrate the skin. It's got to penetrate water. It's got to be able to activate the TRPA1s, and it's got to modulate that piezo2s. So we hypothesized that this metal coordinated CBDA cream can actually do this. And it does it. Ready for this? Here it goes. This is crazy, and I'll explain it to you, I think, in an easy way, that these piezo2 channels are regulated by shape and the rigidity of the surrounding membrane, not by activating the piezo channel itself, but activating the membrane. And the membrane tension is what matters in activating piezo2s. So let's talk about that for a sec. Can you see my arrow?
Yes.
Let's pick a mechanoreceptor and a mechanoreceptor.
Oh, Dr. Kimless, you timed out for a minute.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. So pick a receptor, any receptor. This is just a mechanoreceptor. This one happens to be, looks like a Merkel cell. All mechanoreceptors have piezo2 channels on its membrane. This is a cell membrane. The cell membrane has length of membrane. It's a lipid bilayer. So these round things are fat. The inside is water soluble, fat, water on the inside. On the cell membrane, you've got a whole bunch of stuff, piezo2s. You also have the TRPA1, and remember the A stands for anchorin. Anchor makes the membrane taut, right? And allowing this tautness allows for the piezo2 to, have calcium come in and then change all the things and allow for signaling to happen. So I liken this to, imagine a tightrope walker, and it's that person is on a unicycle, and that tightrope walker on a unicycle juggling, that's the piezo2 receptor, right? The tightrope is the membrane, and the tension is mandated also by that anchor. Does that make sense? So now the chylobinoid, this cream that is manufactured, penetrates that membrane, so goes through this lipid membrane and gets stuck now into the water soluble area. And when it does it, it's like, I'd like you to picture a tightrope walker friend now stepping onto that rope. What does it do? It changes, it makes it less tense, and it changes the conformation of that, or the tension of that tightrope. Now, the tightrope person on the unicycle who's juggling stops juggling, throws that stuff away, and is now trying to balance itself and probably gets off the tightrope because it can't sustain itself on a unicycle. And I liken that visual to what happens when the cream gets into that membrane. The piezo 2 now can no longer effectively transmit its aberrant signaling. And as long as that membrane is not tight, that piezo 2 channel is not working well. And when it doesn't work well, it's the friend of anyone suffering with RLS. So here's another graphic where the Merkel cell will then send abnormal action potentials down nerves and goes to the dorsal root ganglion, where it's perceived as, oh my God, we're feeling this, and now we've got to stretch. So when the piezo 2 is no longer functioning, we cut off, or we significantly reduce, it's not an on and off switch, nothing ever is. We significantly reduce these weird signals that people with RLS suffer with and reduce that urge to move. Okay, tell me if that's not cool. So we
It's
conducted a study. I did it on myself first because, like every good scientist, we try our own drugs. I tried it on myself and it worked. I tried it on my dad, who struggles horribly with restless leg, and it worked. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So we went out into the social media sphere, and I'm like, I need 10 people from around the country. I don't want to know you. Who has this? They all had this. So we did a proof of concept trial. It was open label. Everybody got the drug. Everybody got the cream, the trial cream. It was IRB approved, so we could publish this stuff. Everybody had a topical cream 30 to 45 minutes prior to bedtime, and to do it religiously every 2 weeks. They were allowed to reapply it if they got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and they felt kind of, okay, I'm going to have a problem, because we sort of have this knowledge or feeling like, oh, this is not going to be good now that I got up and walked, to reapply it, and they could do that. The participants had a pre-treatment average score. So we used this restless leg rating score, and it went from a 0 to 40. The average score was 25.8, where 1 to 10 is mild, 11 to 20 is moderate, 21 to 30 severe, 31 to 40 was extreme. So we had an average score of 25.8. We had people in the very extreme, we had people in the mild, but the average was that. After just 2 weeks of treatment, the average score was 8, with a p-value of less than 0.001. For any of you who don't understand statistics, I'm kind of like one of those people that don't really love stats, unless they roll in my favor. That means that it's not happenstance, that it is most likely treatment related. So the RLS questionnaire continues, and there is a question that it's self-administered on a scale of 0 to 10. It's ordinal, a pre-treatment scale on like which you'll, 0.4, again, a p-value of 0.001. In pharma world, a p-value of 0.01 gets them a drug approval from the FDA. 4 participants out of 6 claimed that they had no symptoms after using the CBDA cream. One of these I've become friendly with is a musician, and she was unable ever to sit and play. She was a balladeer, unable to sit and play. She thanked me. She's now able to sit and do her concerts. She thanked me for saving her marriage because her spouse was like ready to kill her. And plus, her quality of life. She was never able to sit and watch a play or a movie or even somebody else's concert without standing in the back and having to pace. The first RLS questionnaire is how severe is your sleep disturbance is rated on a 0 to 4 scale. 0 means no issue, 4 very severe. There was a pre-treatment score of 2.6 at the completion of the trial, 0.4. With 6 people, so greater than 50%, said complete resolution of their sleep issue. We did I like patient's global impression of change scale because I love that things work, in favor statistically, but who cares if the patients aren't happy? Like that's what matters, right? So I always do PGICs, patient's global impression of change. So the first question is assessing your quality of life, so how's it working for you? 1 being like nothing and 7 being the best. We had an improvement scale score of 6.5. On the second one, and this is a kind of a weird scale, it's a 0 to 10 rating scale that looks at the degree of change in symptoms. So 0 is much better, 5 is no change, and 10 makes it worse. The average response to this question was less than 1. So not only are we statistically significant, we are patient significant. Now, yes, we had, this is not the best conducted study. This was a self-funded study from the company. I got $0 conducting this study. I usually make my money doing studies for companies that want to do clinical trials, but I was just so passionate about this. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And in fact, we just got approved for publication, and I'm actually funding the publication. Why? Because I'm so excited about it and I want it out there. So not only I not get paid for this, I'm net negative. But we had, a small sample size. It's all we could afford. We didn't have a control group. Future studies, you can, do randomization, double blind, placebo, yada, yada, lab experiments to prove out our mechanism of action hypothesis, which the company will do because they love the idea, because nobody is looking at the peripheral mechanoreceptors as a target. So this is completely unique and patentable, which they did file a patent, which is why I'm allowed to say that. And explore the potential of combining every single person. We are all ends of one. I would be lying to you if I said this is going to this is going to work for everybody and goodbye and good luck. It works for people. It may not work for people, a combination of things. But the most important thing about this is we had no adverse effects. 0. And I dare say there's no pharmaceutical out there. And as a doctor, I can tell you that we don't spend days thinking about balancing risks and benefits. So this trial suggests something new, something very safe for people who have not found relief in traditional therapies or are not excited about going down, the rabbit hole of pharmaceuticals and balancing out, the risk reward. There are something that led me to, going down the rabbit hole that supported my hypothesis of mechanoreceptor theory. And that's it. Thank you for listening. This is my email. My website has, lots of things, including vetted resources for other herbal preparations and nootropics, along with a CBD tincture. I love the CBD tincture. I like to say anything CBD can do, CBDA can do better.
Phew. Okay. Wow.
talk.
Amazing. Yeah.
Because I've had the 100-day cough and I'm in day 50. So now open to any kind of questions, anything I can clarify for you, anything you want to tell you about, whatever. I'm open.
Go ahead, Harold.
All right, thank you. Wow, I'm so impressed. Thank you. Deb. My question is, when you ask the patients to apply on their legs, how much CBDA
Yeah.
to put?
So everybody's body shape is different. I'm a little person, some people are bigger. So I say start with, 2 finger, a little smear, and rub it in really well. So do a self massage for about a minute or two until it gets absorbed in, and cover the area that is affected by you. One patient had I have calf issue. One patient had calf and knee. I'm like, so apply enough to rub it in. A little bit goes a long way, even though we're Americans and it's bigger, better, better. More, it doesn't equal better. Just cover the area, massage it in well, and then, wait 30, 45 minutes before you go to bed.
Right. But which area of the leg?
Whatever. So everybody manifests differently. So some people feel shin. Some people's restless legs, for me, is my calf area, my entire calf. Massage it in there. Some people have thigh restless leg. Some people have whole leg, which we had to ship extra cream to them because I didn't want them to pay for it, during the trial. So in the middle of the trial, we shipped, extra cream because they were big people and they had whole leg. So I say start with fingertip, move it on, and go.
All right. Well, I asked because my dad has that issue, so I'm asking for him. But is that your product on the CBDA cream on the silo
I
cream?
don't own any of it.
Yeah.
These are not my products. These are vetted products that I spend a lot of time with these companies. I
Great.
know their manufacturer. I know their chemist. I mean, like I know their birthdays. I'm not even kidding. And so these are not mine. And if you go on my thing, not only do they have, I would do the extra potency one. They have regular potency, extra potency for restless leg because it's a bear. Usually extra potency is just more milligram dose per, treatment.
Okay.
You get a discount if you use Plant Struck 10, I think, or 20, I don't know, whatever it is
Okay.
on there. And again, I don't, this is them. This is on
Okay.
them. I'm
Got it.
blessed that they
Thank you.
give my people, reduction in price. They also have capsules and these, and this stuff works for pain, right? This is not a single bullet theory. We've been lied to as doctors, and the FDA continues to perpetuate, single target, single molecule. We all know that's a big fat lie.
Right.
And this works beautifully on PPAR alpha, TRPV1, nociceptive receptors. When people come to me with back issues or whatever, topical is the way to go. I go through airports and I have a stick. You'll see it's called Body Balm. I have this small stick. I carry that with me. I tell them it's
While Dr. Kimless is frozen, I can say that, oh, you were frozen for a minute, but I can see that, like, I met you at CanMed and you were giving out little samples of the Kylo cream. I was very intrigued with your work there. So happy to hear it today. It's amazing. I got a little teary, at that relief that people got, because these are very real problems that people are having and they're just not being like treated as such. So I had a the tiniest little sample of Kylo cream, and I had to, after CanMed, I was stuck in Houston for 3 days at the airport. There were thunderstorms. I couldn't get home, but I had to go back to the airport and get my vouchers for the free hotel for whatever.
Oh my God.
But I was standing in line for hours and was, let me try this cream. And I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. Like the relief was unbelievable. The pain relief in my feet. I was thinking about people who have a lot of people have sore feet.
Plantar fasciitis, whatever. I told you I'm doing, I was able to get a 980 nanometer near infrared laser, and I'm using that plus the CBDA cream and treating my neighborhood of friends because and my dad, who is was in the hospital and he fell and he's got this crazy hematoma larger than I've ever seen by somebody who's hit by a truck because he's old and he has skin issues. 980 laser, CBDA. The doctors are like, see how fast he doesn't need anything, and I'm like, I'm sneaking in at night, and treating my dad. So shut up. Honey, you said Dustin saw it. Dustin knows me very well and he knows my work. So he and I are very good friends.
What about the magnesium? Can you talk about the magnesium a little
So
bit?
so the mag was formulated, and I encourage the magnesium because magnesium baseline is a muscle relaxer.
Right.
But this is a mental coordination that allows for this amphiphilicity. It allows for the water and the fat penetration. And he's using this in the pharma world. He's developing a solution to erratic thyroid medication for people with underactive thyroid. And he's using this metal coordination, and it's patented, and they're publishing, and this is completely different. I mean, yes, he's in the canosphere, but he's also in the the pharmasphere to do this stuff too. So this is very smart chemistry.
Yeah, I love magnesium.
Dr. Kimless, I have one more question.
Yep.
So what about eating CBDA? Would
Sure.
that be effective or not as effective?
So I eat CBDA, but you remember, anytime you eat something, it goes through the digestive process. And so even if I use 100 milligrams, which on the online they have that, you only get about 8%. So it's very inefficient, and it gets circulated throughout the body through all receptors. So you're not concentrating on what I believe is the piezo2 channels that are doing it. So to me, I use CBDA if I have a headache instead of ibuprofen, or if I have something that I can't topically reach. And it worked. So anyway, I am a huge proponent of CBDA. I treat my patients with autoimmune illness with CBDA. I also treat them with a whole food, all plant, no added oil, no processed food diet, which if you read in my book, that's my rant and my first chapter that then will lead into cannabinoids. But I believe that if you believe that you don't want to have pills thrown at you, then you have to start with making your body receptive to natural healing from all things, from cannabinoids, from herbs, from mushrooms. And by giving yourself toxins, eating meat, I don't care if it's organic, I don't care if it's named, I don't care if it has a pedigree, and meat includes anything that comes from a mother, poops, or bleeds when you cut it, including fish as meat. Eggs is liquid chicken. Dairy is poison. So if you get that out of your diet and eat a whole food, all plant diet, your body then will turn into a healing machine. Like what Mo said before, it allows it to do what it's supposed to do. But if you have a disease, sometimes it needs help. And that's where cannabinoids and other medicinal herbs and mushrooms come into play. We're meant to survive. We're meant to heal. Food technology has evolved way faster than we're able to adapt, including extracted oil, even extra virgin olive oil, even coconut oil. Those things have been with us thousands of years. It takes hundreds of thousands to millions of years for adaptation to happen.
Talk to me about oils, because are you talking about the canolas and the industrial waste? Or are you,
I'm
and
talking
what are
about
our good fats?
if you grow an olive tree in an organic farm, eat the olive. It's fabulous for you because it is packaged the way nature has intended. But when you extract that oil, you're processing it.
Mm.
And think about how many baby olives it takes to make a jug of extra virgin olive oil. You have stripped of its nutrients. Yeah, you may have some omega-3s, and yeah, you may have whatever. You've stripped the majority of its powerhouse. Eat the
So what do
olive.
you do for fats?
I eat the olive. You eat the avocado. You eat the nut. You
Okay.
eat the seed. It's filled with fat. Our body needs fat. Our body has myelin sheaths. Our brain is filled, like it needs fat, just like we need sugar. When people are like, oh, I don't eat carbs. What do you think a fruit and a vegetable is? You may not eat Wonder Bread and Snickers bars. You shouldn't. It's poison. you know, but
as I drink out of a poison bottle.
eh, well, I have ceramic coating. I don't even, I cook in ceramic cookware. I cook with water or vegetable broth.
Okay.
No oil. You don't need it. We've been marketed to everybody. Don't buy into the lie.
True story. On Friday or Thursday of last week, I had a 44-year-old patient. I work at a certain VA. I'm not disclosing names or any characteristics about this patient, but he sent a secure message to the hospital system where I work, and he said he had restless leg and he would like a pill. That's what and the doctor said, "Oh, can I get a pill? I have restless leg. I used to be on a pill. Can I get it back?" Or something like that. Yes, the doctor writes back. Yes. Just like,
Look,
and
I'm an MD. This is how we were trained. We
Yeah.
took a pharmacology and physiology course. No one ever talked to me about food. Nobody talked about medicinal herbs, certainly not the endocannabinoid system. You have a disease, you have the medication. You have different categories of that medication. High blood pressure, you've got, your diuretic, you've got your beta blocker, you've got your alpha blockers, you've got your, angiotensin converting enzyme. Like, wait, nobody's talked about, like, I've gotten people, my mother, if I ever wrote a book about her, it'd be called Vegan Kicking and Screaming. And, and, and literally, she was on 4 different blood pressure pills because she could spike like no other. I got her off all of it by changing her diet.
Yeah.
Now I have to cook for her, but it was my pleasure.
So in the interim, before the doctor, wrote her, yes, I was like thinking about, oh, he should come to our class. And then I realized where I was. I was at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was at my
Yeah.
place of employment where we
Your
treat
government,
patients.
right? Your government employed, your government subsidized VA hospital.
So I I went to his, chart. I counted, it would be his 11th medication, 11th, and he's 44.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And we know that
have to know.
more
Yeah.
than 7 pharmaceuticals, and you've got a detrimental all-cause outcome.
But no one does a clinical trial. So doesn't this get you, irk you? Well, where are the clinical trials on cannabis and blah, 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 blah. Really, show me the clinical trial in a person that's on 2 antidepressants, an antihypertensive, a cholesterol busting med, an anti this and anti that. Show me the clinical trial on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is none.
Yeah. They can bury it. They can really bury it. I tried to investigate negative outcomes of a certain pharmaceutical for a friend, and I was just shocked to see that they don't have to report certain outcomes that are not favorable in their behalf.
Because they blame it on something else. They point they point the finger.
Yeah. Can one of the doctors answer the question in the chat about surgery?
Where's the surgery?
I had a sinus problem, undergone surgery 7 years ago. Now I'm okay, feeling better. Is it okay to take cannabis or any alternative?
After surgery?
7 years.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, and cannabis doesn't have to be taken as an inhalation. Like everyone, equates, cannabis equals, no, you could take it in a whole host of ways, depending upon what your issue is, what your hopeful outcome is. And again, if you get Plant Struck, the book, the hard copy comes out, I think April 9, but I think you can get the online version.
You can get it with a click.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yep.
And so if you do that, you will understand about dosing regimen and why dosing matters, why methods of administration matter. It's and this is not unique to what we do in life in the pharmaceutical world. It's just that they took it off the table and they're doing it, and sadly because of dumb government regulation and or lack thereof, we're here to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
So
Dr. T, it looks like you're getting ready to say something.
Well, just thank you, Dr. Kimless, for a great presentation. Appreciate it. It's glad to meet another person of the tribe of doctors who are willing to speak for the plant. And yeah, I was just going to respond to say that that method of administration is important. If that person with the surgery, be careful that smoking may irritate the sinuses again, if that's part of the problem. So you might want to consider ingesting it rather than smoking it. But other than that, go for it. Sounds like a great. I did have a question, Dr. Kimless, about the study that you did with RLS. Did they consider doing a pain study as well?
So they've done pain studies in the past. They've never been published. I don't know why. Again, I vet products, I meet people, I get down with their things, but this is a small company. I mean, yes, they're working in the pharma world, but the cannabis funding, again, they didn't pay me to do this. I did this on my own. They don't have the money for it. As soon as we get money, I've got a whole host of things that I am ready to rock and roll with, including proving out this mechanism of action, which I think is so exciting and
It is.
so different than what anybody's ever talked about or thought about. So I will be doing this, and the more I do for them, the more they're like, yeah, we want you here, even though they have a medical director, and their medical director is a very prominent physician that deals with basketball, NBA and MLB teams. I'm like, why aren't we doing this stuff with them? Let them be our spokesperson. I'm just one little person that hardly anybody's heard of. Like, why don't we get? And they're like, well, we got to get contract. I'm like, contracts for, come on, guys. And he's like, well, because I'm the doctor, I can't be the spokesperson. I'm like, fly me up. I would be more than happy to wear whatever hat they want to wear, even though I'm a Giants fan because I'm from Jersey originally, and that's painful. That you need drugs for. But anyway, I'm like, I'll be more than happy to, talk to whichever players you want, and let's get this funding going because we've got important work to do.
Now, do you know why they chose CBDA rather than THCA, or was that like a chemical?
So I think, it's a lot. So back when they first developed it, CBDA was a lot easier to get through without regulation. So buying, from hemp, because this is a botanically derived product. So buying from hemp is a lot less messy than buying from the THC dominant cannabis plant. We all know the power of THCA as well. But CBG, somebody writes, but the challenge with CBG is most of the CBG you get on the market is synthetically derived because you need 2 synthase knockouts in order for that plant to be dominant in CBG or CBGA rather. So you need it's a very rare cultivar to find, and if you find it, you treasure that. And I know that there's somebody out in Cali that has a CBG a synthase knockout plant that they have. They're just not producing a lot because again, what drives innovation is money, and sadly you don't get high off of CBGA or CBG, and there's no money toward it.
We're in New Jersey.
I grew up in Central Jersey in Woodbridge, Middlesex County. Are you familiar?
I'm from South Orange, Essex County.
Of course, South Orange. Yes.
Just a little bit down the road, up the turnpike.
Yep. So I knew we kind of sounded alike, but I see the bridge behind you. So I'm guessing you're living in California. You've escaped.
Yeah. I've been here since residency.
Are you still a Giants fan or?
A New York Giants fan?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Okay, good.
I haven't gone over to the 49ers yet.
Okay, good. You haven't gone to the.
And still a Yankees fan too.
Okay, good. I'm a Mets fan because I clearly like the underdogs. But did you go to med school in Jersey?
No, BU.
Okay, because I went to Rutgers, so yeah.
Yeah.
Jersey,
yeah, I've got cousins who went there. Yes.
Nice. Anyway, thank you guys for listening and for your generous comments and for your excitement, and anyone out there that has restless leg, try it and keep in touch and let me know how you make out. Like
yes, and please keep in touch with us.
Yeah, I want to know, what how you respond to it, and if we get the money to expand this study, I'll include people so that you guys get free product to do it.
Christine, do you think you're gonna try it? I don't know if she can unmute. Christine, Dr. Talleyrand is one of your patients.
There we go. This is Christine. Yes, I am going to try it and I will go for the extra strength.
Yeah.
I've had restless leg syndrome all my life. I'm a textbook classic ADHD and I'm 75 years old. I've been chatting and rattling all my friggin' life. And my horrifying concrete realization for my restless legs is I finally started waking up and realizing, yes, the reason I feel like I've been running all night is that I am running all night sometimes. I wake up and I am literally pedaling like I'm on the move.
Yeah.
And those tremors are just horrifying, the way they tremor down your legs. So I've never I do the stretching. That's good that people are talking about it, because that's the only thing I've ever found is that I just will stretch my legs and stretch them, but it's quite disturbing when it happens because you really can't get rest, and it's a nerve thrumming that kind of drives you a little crazy. So I'm very, very curious to do it because
let me
they've
know
been
how you
trying to
make out.
push me to take medication, but I'm not into that Neurontin, and I don't see why I want to affect my whole nervous system over something that's very specific to my legs. I don't get
Well,
it in the
it's
arms.
central.
So.
It is central, but you're cutting off that peripheral conversation, that aberrant, that wrong conversation that's being had between
Right.
the periphery and the central nervous system. So I had one of the participants said that they had to change sheets every week, had to buy new sheets every single week because their intense stretching wore out
Wore
the
it out.
bottoms of their sheets.
Okay, well, I sleep with a foot box, and when my partner was alive, unfortunately, my partner passed away. I had to have just my side. Now I have a grand all the way across the bed, but I can't take the pressure of the sheets or blankets laying on my legs.
Yeah.
They have to be lifted up off of my feet, or they go
Yep.
nuts and cramp on me. So
Yep. I get it.
Wow.
All right. Well, let me know how you make out.
I will. I'm
my
gonna
email
stay
address
I got the
is
book
at-
coming and I'm very interested, and I like to be, the natural approach is so much better. And once I've used this product, I'll be going to my doctor, my primary, who's an OD, and I'll be vying for her to be more pro about all of this, or else I got to get a new doctor.
Christine, we are so happy you joined us. We
Oh,
are
thank
so
you.
happy to help you.
I need to sign off, but
Yes.
thank you everyone for listening. And again, Mo, if I can help you with anything, let me know. This was fabulous.
All right.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
I'm blessed.
Thank you so much, everyone. Great class, another great class. See you next week.